Hello guys, today I want to show you a few simple examples how to get some data from external API into Laravel. And with that I will show you Laravel HTTP client, which appeared in Laravel 7 and replaced older Guzzle, or in fact built on top of that. So first, historical change and what is HTTP client, and then we will look at three examples. So historically there was a Guzzle package, which is PHP package for any PHP API requests. It's PHP HTTP client, which you can use in Laravel, Symfony, or without any framework. And this was used historically in Laravel. And you may have seen in the past something like this. So these requests to get some data from the external API, like GitHub in this case. In Laravel 7, there was a new thing on the market, and here I opened Laravel news article at the time, so March 12, 2020, so more than a year ago, HTTP client introduced a Laravel way on top of Guzzle. So the syntax was more Laravel-ish. So HTTP GET, then body, then JSON, and it's more easy to use. And it also added some Laravel stuff on top of that. So for example, no boilerplate setup, meaning that you didn't have to install Guzzle. Before that, every time you wanted to do the Guzzle request, you needed to compose or require Guzzle HTTP Guzzle from Laravel 7, and until now, if you go to Laravel official composer JSON, you have Guzzle as a required dependency for any Laravel project, which means that in new Laravel project, without any installation or boilerplate or anything, you can do requests like this. Just include the facade, use the facade, and do HTTP GET. So it's much easier to start. And then quite a lot of Laravel methods of failing requests, of chaining the setup, and we will take a look at a few examples now. The first example is from SpottyB open source repository, and here I'm showing my Laravel examples page with this example. Free GeoIP is an open API, free API to get the country from IP address. So for example, if we launch that in the browser directly, and I have put my IP address here, I will zoom it in. The result is country code, Republic of Lithuania, and latitude and longitude, and time zone. So to get that, all you need to do with HTTP client, if we go back to our example, is just do HTTP GET like this. Then you have response status and response JSON, and that JSON is actually this one. And what was used in that Spotty example is just country code. So I would get the LT value, and there's also a fallback value of US. So this is example of a free public open API and how to get the data from it without any authorization. Second example is from the same Laravel examples, but it's source code to update the GitHub repositories. So in the project we have open source projects, and every project has the amount of stars and when it was updated. So to update those, we have an artisan command every night to update the GitHub repository. So for each of the project, we do a request to API of GitHub, and here we have with token. And GitHub works GitHub API. If we open the documentation of API, it requires API token, which can be personal access token, which you can access from settings, developer settings in your GitHub account. So that token is then passed with a method HTTP with token. And under the hood, with token can be traced to this: with header authorization, and then type of authorization, and then space token. By default, the type of authorization is bearer token, which is exactly used in this case, but you can do something differently. So with token, and then again, response status and response JSON is the result of what we get. So this is also pretty similar way to get the data, with one difference: that is not public, it's with token. And the third example that I wanted to show you is chaining of HTTP request. So in the open source repository astroatomic open door me, there is a get request to get the JSON of GitHub colors. There's a specific repository called OZH GitHub colors that returns the colors of programming languages for any list that you want. And the whole colors are listed in the colors JSON file here, hard-coded. And if you click on raw here, it provides the same JSON in the public URL without any authorization or authentication. So this is exactly what was done in that OpenDoorMe example, HTTP GET from that JSON. An interesting thing, you can then chain the results with a lot of operations afterwards. So HTTP get, then collection, then put into collection, then map over collection within one sentence. So languages equals and then all that long stuff. And the beginning of that stuff is HTTP get, the result is JSON, and then you put JSON into collection and do whatever you want. So this is also an advantage of using HTTP client because it has that chaining stuff. Also, there are more options like timeouts, like retries. You can specify the amount of seconds when it times out, the amount of times to retry, how to handle the errors. So for example, if it's failed, if it's server error, exceptions and all of that. So I encourage you to read all the official documentation, and I will link that in the description below. So a lot of options of HTTP client, like for example DD even exists here. And in this video, of course, I discussed only the getting of the data, but the same HTTP client is good for posting the data, like this HTTP post, put and patch requests. So you can also interact with external APIs with posting the data with the same HTTP client. If you want any more examples with HTTP requests, then list below in the comments what APIs or what external services do you want me to cover, and I will cover it either on my Laravel examples with example code or in the next video on this YouTube channel. And subscribe to the channel, and see you guys in other videos.